I'm cooling out. Burning through that pavement, watch these outlaws get spun out. Yo, see him get frustrated, yo, paintings getting faded, profane curses coming out.
Hola, another Friday, another Hero Talk podcast. I hope some of you are listening to this on your lunch break. I'm host and creator of Healing Heroes, Christopher Orangeo. Welcome to the 4th episode. For this episode, I interviewed my father, Andrew Orangeo. Yes, I allowed my father to work with me. And I immediately regret this decision. It was kind of a kick-ass experience to interview my father about some stuff. I found out some of his idols growing up in the comedy world. We discussed comedy and how it is to write comedy as well. So here it is, and I hope you enjoy the 4th episode of Hero Talk. The music featured in our episode today is from the artist Coyote. That's K-A-I period O-T-I. His Instagram name and SoundCloud name are K-A-I period O-T-I. And if you have a Bandcamp, go follow him at kai-oti.bandcamp.com. Oh, and also, if you have not yet followed Healing Heroes on Instagram or Twitter yet, yeah, you should go do that. It's Healing Heroes _ for both Twitter and Instagram. So, how's it going?
Good. How are you doing today?
I'm good.
Good.
This is a little weird, interviewing my father.
Little weird being interviewed by my son.
So how you doing?
I'm great. How are you? How's everything going?
Yeah, everything's going well.
Great. Good.
Like I said, this is a little weird. Some of my friends who will be listening to this, they've met you and they know you. They think you're a very funny person.
Thank you. Thank you.
Emily and I, not so much.
No, not at all.
I'm kidding.
Well, not at all.
No, for those who don't know, my father as well as my mother and stepfather, they donate a lot of money towards the proof of concept. But you, Andrew,
yep,
and that's it.
That would be me.
You wrote a character, Wico Man.
Yes, Wico Man is my creation, if you will.
Creation, and it was kind of interesting because initially we wanted to have him in like an episode when we were going to do a web series, but we kind of wanted to take this a little bit bigger, and we were going to add him in maybe a 30-page pilot episode because he's one of the main 5. So we were thinking about how do we add him in now, and we added him in the crowdfunding video. For anyone who saw the crowdfunding video, actor Julian Seltzer played him, and so that's who you created. So I guess just first off, tell people a little bit about yourself for people who don't know what you've done.
Presently, I work for the state of New Jersey. I'm a state worker, very proud of it, very good. But I also did, and I say past tense, comedy, stand-up comedy.
When?
I started back in the 70s, early to mid 70s, when I was in and out of New York and more living in the city. And I had a kind of job where I could go at night if I needed to perform. I stopped doing that for about almost 20 plus years.
If you don't mind me asking, why'd you stop?
Well, because family come into play. I got married. I had 2 children. One I would have liked to have given up for adoption.
Emily.
Okay. She doesn't have a beard, though. Anyway. And no, just other things took precedent over that. It was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. And
you still talk about it a lot.
Well, because at the time I was doing it, I was before marriage, before I even met your mother, I was approached by some of the club owners and say, listen, you're funny, we like you, but you just can't be in New York. You got to travel. And I had a really good job at the time that I didn't really want to give up.
Yeah, so it was either that.
So you make it right. There are life choices like that all the time. In 2003, I was on a date with this woman who took me to a comedy club for my birthday, as a birthday present. Nice. And I'm watching them up there performing, and some were very funny, but others were like, I'm just as funny as those people are.
City?
No, this was actually in a place called Rascals Comedy Club. It was in West Orange. At the time. It's no longer in existence. It's gone now. Did she take you there in hopes for you to go and perform? Or was it just like, hey, let's go to this club? She said you would appreciate it, and if we stand up front, we can heckle the comedians because you can give it back to them.
Yeah.
I immediately told her she was out of her mind because I wasn't going to do that because these guys do this for a living, and I was there to enjoy myself.
Exactly. And I guess from a comedian standpoint, you probably did she do stand up?
No, she never did stand up.
So when she said that she wanted to heckle the comedians, I'm sure the comedian, you were like, "What the hell are you talking about? Like,
Yeah,
why
that's
would you do that shit?"
one thing comedians don't like is to be heckled. It's
Yeah,
a certain,
sure.
you're in a certain routine, you're in a certain pattern, and you're breaking that pattern. You're breaking our
Exactly. And
concentration.
every time you watch a comedian get heckled on stage, it seems like any video you see on YouTube, they kind of brush it off and then they go at him.
They go right
I
after
saw
them.
Hannibal Buress do it, and he just attacked him.
If you don't shut up, then they attack you
to make you shut
verbally,
up.
absolutely,
Yeah.
and you will be embarrassed because you may be a very smart person, but you're not funnier than a comedian when he's on a roll
Exactly.
and when he's sharp, and because you resent somebody interrupting you in the middle of your routine. No matter what you're doing, you're like, leave me the fuck alone.
Yeah.
You know, I don't. And then the old joke, I don't bother you when you're making the French fries. Why are you bothering me? You know,
Yeah.
you're there to have a good time.
Yeah.
They're working to make a living to eat,
Exactly.
or to become famous, or just to survive.
Yeah.
And leave them alone.
When was the last time you did stand-up? I'm sorry.
Last time I did stand was about a year and a half ago. This is 2016. About a
Okay,
year
nice.
and a half ago.
How did it go?
It went well. They always go well, except when they don't.
Okay. Yeah.
Sometimes you hear crickets when people are just not laughing.
Uh-huh.
I think maybe they're a little sick. They don't really, I don't want to use the word mentally
Ill.
you know, whatever, but they are because
Is that awkward for you?
it used to be very awkward. It used to be when somebody didn't laugh at something, I actually took it personal.
Okay.
Now,
Are you talking about when you do stand-up?
when
or
I do
just in
stand,
general?
oh,
Okay.
in stand-up, no, when you're just talking to friends, you don't care if they
Okay,
laugh at you or
yeah,
not.
yeah.
But when you're doing stand-up, because you have set routines, some of it is improvisational, but a lot of it is written,
Yeah.
and I don't say choreographed, but to a degree it is. It's written out and spelled out. Later on, if it didn't work out, I just blamed the audience. I'm like, no, they don't know what's funny. Fuck them.
Yeah.
You know, and I can't help it if they have no sense of humor.
Yeah.
And when you have that attitude, sometimes that comes across in your routine, and then you start bringing people
Exactly.
towards you. Yeah, there was one thing I went to where people weren't laughing. It was a very formal crowd,
Uh-huh.
and I don't have really dirty stuff, but I do have a couple of routines that I think are a little off color,
Yeah.
but they're funny. And I'm not going to say the routines now, but I totally bombed in this one night. It was on a Monday or Tuesday night. I went to a comedy club that Friday, exact same material, it killed.
Really?
So I knew that it was like it was a very staid crowd, and
Exactly.
they weren't there for comedy. They were there for other stuff, and it really bothered me.
I remember I tried stand-up twice down in Florida. I did it in St. Augustine, Florida, at this comedy club. You know, one night I went there to check it out, and I was like, yeah, I'd like to do it, and I booked it months in advance. And then when I went back, I did it, and the crowd was like an older crowd, and the jokes I was working on
We're not for an older
were
crowd.
not for an older crowd, so I didn't really put that into consideration, and I bombed. I bombed so badly. I was up there for 5 minutes, and initially in my head, I never said this out loud. I was like, 5 minutes, that's it? I went up there, and I was like, I think I maybe lasted 2 minutes.
5 minutes is a long time when you're up there and you're
Yeah,
panicking.
so-
But the first thing I asked you is what the woman said when you came off stage, and you said to me, she said, "Come back anytime."
Exactly.
That's not bombing,
Yeah.
because if they thought you bombed, she would say, "Thank you so much. You did a good job.
Yeah.
Bye bye."
Yeah.
So when they say come back anytime, because I remember distinctly, you called me that morning. I'm not ready. I'm not going to go on. And what did I tell you? You're going on.
Yeah.
Because first of all, they set that time aside for you, number one.
Months in advance.
They expect you there because you're a time slot.
Yeah.
If you went up to her and said, "Listen, I can't do 15 minutes. Can I do 5 or 10?"
They would.
She would have said yes.
And
she did say
she
yes.
She said, go up there and do whatever makes you feel comfortable. And that really helped me out too. And one thing that helped me out too is, prior to going on, the headline guy, I wish I knew his name. I was at the bar and I was drinking to chill out, and it came up that I was gonna go on, and the main guy was standing next to me. He's like, "Have you ever done it?" I was like, "This is my first time. This that."
Yeah.
And you know, I didn't tell him any of my jokes. I didn't tell him anything. I was like, "I'm going up for 5 minutes. I don't know." So I went up, and like I said, I bombed. I I was messing with the mic. I kept like doing it up and down. The guy after me was making fun of me. It was like Chris was whipping something in the shave or whatever. But the main guy, he was the first person to come up to me and said, "Hey, you got the first one out of the way. You conquered it. You did things that didn't work. He's like, but now you did it." He's like, "I don't know anyone that went on the first time and killed it." No, but it was really nice for him to come over. He was the headlining guy. For him to come over to my table, and it was only one of my other friends who went with me, to come over to my table and kind of like give me a pep talk. That was really kind of cool of him.
And that's the whole thing. If everybody got up there and killed on the first thing,
they'd have to live up to it.
Besides that, we'd have a country full of comedians that are not making any money because everybody is successful.
Yeah.
They don't bomb. You got to bomb. You got to see what's work. A story that I know I've told you a million times.
Yeah.
About Larry David,
Yeah.
when he was doing stand-up. He was a very discriminating comedian, and he was called a comedian's comedian because a lot of the stuff might not have been funny to the audience, but other comedians were cracking him up. He tells a story, and he's said this several times on TV, where he walked up on the Improv, which is a pretty good, pretty heady place in Manhattan for comedy. Always has been for 30, 40 years now. He got up in front of the audience, looked at them and said, "No, I don't think so." Turned around and walked out and didn't go back.
Wow.
It wasn't part of the routine.
He has a lot of balls.
He does have a lot of balls.
That story about Saturday Night Live where he...
It's another thing, yeah, that he chronicalized on
Seinfeld.
Yeah, but he wasn't Larry David then. He was Larry David, a guy who had the 10 o'clock slot.
Exactly.
He wasn't the Seinfeld Larry David. He wasn't the Curb Your
Maybe he had
Enthusiasm.
that attitude that
He had the attitude, right. He had that attitude, but he wasn't famous, so he could have been like any smo going up there and they go, "Fuck him, he's gone." Right, he can go now, you don't want to do it, fine. But that's how he was, and maybe he was his confidence. I mean, everybody bombs. As a matter of fact, Seinfeld can tell you how many times he's bombed. Dennis Leary, I like Dennis Leary. He can tell you that happens. You're not human if you don't bomb.
Who were some of your favorite comedians, whether it's stand-up or just...
Growing up as a kid, they had a lot of comedians. I'm not as young as I may appear.
True,
Watch it.
True.
Okay, thank you very much.
With you
That's the perfect answer for your inheritance. George Carlin was a very funny man in his early career.
I remember Mom said that she bought his tape and Grandpa, the 7 words you can't say.
Yep, excellent.
And Grandpa made her like toss it out. Like,
Oh, absolutely. Well, yeah. Well, it
right?
was very crazy. It was very. But one of the funniest comedians now, who's come under a lot of fire now, and maybe rightfully so, was Bill Cosby. Bill Cosby was a funny, gifted comedian, and he broke a lot of color barriers.
Really?
Oh yeah.
More than Richard Pryor, you'd say?
Oh yeah, he probably set the groundwork for Richard Pryor to a degree.
Okay.
Because Cosby came out in the early '60s, 62, 3, 4. Yeah.
Right.
One of his first albums has "Why Is There Air," and it has him holding up, I think, a volleyball, and his answer was, "To blow up basketballs, to blow up footballs. Why else would there be air?" Things like that. And he took it from there. He did a routine with Noah and the Ark and talking to God. Very innovative, very funny. Now, what he slipped into later in life, that we can't really speak to, or I can't really speak to. But he was definitely influence on me. Don Rickles, who's still alive and kicking. He's an insult comic.
Yeah, we were talking, when we talk about heckling, my mind instantly...
Oh, you don't, even if you don't heckle him, you don't want to be in the front row with him.
Yeah.
Because he'll just pick you apart, whatever.
But didn't you tell me that he'll buy your meal?
Yeah,
or like he'll hook you up or whatever?
I've heard of that he'll buy drinks for that table or buy the people's meal, absolutely. Especially if he was particularly brutal to one of the people. But yeah, I mean, those are just some of them. There's a ton of comedians out there. I like Louis C.K. now.
Yeah.
I think he's very, very funny.
Ryan and I were talking about that the other day, about how it was more so about how comedians who kind of try and do serious stuff, and I never watched a single episode of Louis, and everyone kind of was like,
"Oh, that's a good."
Wrong with
believe
you?
me,
Yeah.
that's
But
a good
that show.
You should watch it.
It's
It's
just
very good.
like it's him being more serious.
To a degree.
Stand up is hilarious.
He's very funny with his stand up. It's
His
very
stand-up
good.
is so good.
Do
you
Bill,
like any new comedians now? Sorry, I didn't mean.
No, it's okay. No, it's okay. Give me a for instance.
Well,
Some are really
I
good.
don't know. There's just always someone with YouTube. I guess like a Kevin Hart, let's say.
Kevin Hart is very funny. I didn't like him, and then I started seeing him more on talk shows, and being more
Have you seen his
himself.
stand-up?
I saw part of his stand-up.
What'd you think?
Very funny.
Very funny.
Yeah, more than I thought I would like him.
Dave Chappelle. It's
Chappelle,
not really new, but
Chappelle is phenomenal.
Yeah.
He's just he's very natural. He's very innovative, I think,
Yeah.
too.
Chris Rock loves him, and
Chris Rock, I like Chris Rock. He pulls off the angry black man routine, and he does it very well. And I don't know if he's serious or not, but he's very good at it, and he can do that.
I know you're a fan of Norm Macdonald. Did he do stand-up?
Norm, did stand up back in the day. Norm is one of the funniest people. He's very bright. He's very quick. He's very improvisational.
Okay.
When you even see him on some talk shows.
Really? Oh, well, talk shows, yeah, but his stand-up's improvisational?
He can be.
Oh, wow.
Well, you know what? A lot of comedians, yes, you do, as I said before, you do have scripted material and you write it and you almost say it to the word verbatim. But a lot of times you go off script, something is going to throw at you and you got to think on your feet. And that's one of them. That's actually how I created the Wico Man character.
Thank you for segueing.
That was such a segue.
That was a really good segue because I was hoping for it, but yeah.
And here it is.
Here it is.
Here's the segue. I was doing stand. This has got to be, what year are we in? 16 now. Yeah. I did too many drugs back in the 70s. And 80s. Well, you know, it's a whole story which we can't go into right now.
Yeah.
You're my
son.
son.
My father. So.
Exactly. Damn it. Anyway, might have been like about 10 plus years ago. I had material and I was doing well with it, and I was maybe watching something about superheroes or something hit my mind.
Are you a superhero fan or?
I can be. I like the Flash, and thanks to you, quite honestly. But I've always been a fan of like Superman and the Batman and all that nonsense. And I was just thinking, what if there was a superhero that was so pathetically weak and skinny, who Veal has more muscle than he has?
Yeah.
What if he became a superhero? And the premise was that he would have like a baggy superhero outfit and whatever. And whenever he would come across a crime scene, the criminals would look at him, and he was so pathetically skinny and weak that they would laugh and fall to the ground.
And I remember when you told me that, I don't know the timetable. I'll just say maybe like a week or a week and a half later.
Yeah.
You and I were sitting in the living room.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
And we created that exact moment.
Yeah.
Even like the old lady he saves.
Had to help him pick the criminal up because the criminal was still laughing.
That was really funny, and every time I tell people like the main characters in this, and it's you know the four that we saw in the proof of concept plus Wico Man, people find it funny. People find like just so like he's just so weak that like people just laugh at him.
They just laugh at him, and
even people were laughing at Julian in the crowdfunding video.
When I saw that,
how he was acting.
Yeah, he acted very well. He was a good character.
Did we? I was going to ask you too. Did we do well of portraying your version of Wico Man?
Yes, yes. I might have had him a little older, but not much older.
Okay. We actually discussed if it went to Hollywood. DJ Quayle's the actor from,
would be perfect for that.
From the new guy.
He's getting a little bit long in the tooth, though. He's not.
Is he?
Well, he's getting a little bit older, obviously.
Yeah, but I guess you don't want him that older now, right?
Well, it would really depend if you know your mouth to God's ears, as they say. It took off like that. Then absolutely you would want this character in there. But that's kind of the built in the frame I was looking for. I think. Your guy Julian got glasses, or I don't know if he wore glasses. But that was a good touch to it.
He came on set and he was like, I have these, like he had options of stuff, bow ties, and I told him to bring like options. But
yeah, that's a good idea.
Like, I have glasses that look really funky and cool, and I knew right away, man, like he was it, you know.
Well, that's just it.
Hopefully, I'm fortunate enough to get him on here to interview him, but it was really just the amount of time. Him and I met over it's like with all these actors. I met them over coffee for like 3 hours, and we sat there and we talked about the character, and everybody, and I'm not just saying this, every actor brought their A game. Every actor brought their A game.
That's what you need.
So, so aside from seeing Wico Man and how we portrayed him, and I would like you to answer this not biased because you're my father. What did you think of the proof of concept?
I liked it a lot. And more importantly, I have friends of mine who may or may not have donated to the campaign.
Hi, Linda.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, yep. She's a very big. Linda is a person I work with. She's a very big supporter of yours.
Very supportive.
And she's a sweetheart too.
Yeah.
They liked it because I find when people don't like something, they go like, "Oh wow, that's nice," but they don't rant and rave about it.
Yeah.
A lot of
That's
my
what really
friends,
makes me feel really positive about it.
a lot of my friends who looked at it were like, "Wow, that's really good." Matter of fact, I have several people at work that did see it. They were like, "When are we going to get another installment? We want to see where this takes us."
It was funny. I don't know how this. I think this is how it came about. When I created the project, I think you said you had a friend of yours, Mike Heron.
Yes.
Who was the creator of Ganja Girl.
When I told him of the concept, we were in the city, we were having a couple of beers, we were out and whatever, and I told him what you were working on. He's in the industry too. He's a very
He works
sick.
for the news.
He works for the news. He's a cameraman. He's been doing it for a year.
He's covering Trump now. So.
Well, who wouldn't hate that?
Yeah.
I mean, come on now. And but Mike's been doing it for a lot of years. He's very good at it and pays bills. What are you going to do?
Yeah.
And he said, I always wanted to create a character called Ganja Girl. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And he basically explained, the theory behind Ganja Girl, that whenever she gets high, usually on marijuana, she has these epiphanies about crimes and how to solve them and all that. I said, well, I'll have my son get in touch with you. I don't know if he's interested or not, but you did, he did,
fun,
and he created that.
I've yet to meet Mike, but we've exchanged a ton of emails about the script. He gave me some good notes. He's been behind it as well.
He can give you a lot of good ideas.
People have been really behind me and just supportive and even liking it on Facebook or sharing it.
He can give you a lot of good ideas. He's very knowledgeable like that. Matter of fact, a good friend of ours who is a writer and has like 3 or 4 books out there, Tim O'Mara. I know you know Tim O'Mara. He, I think he proofreads Tim books, or he's one of the first people that Tim gives the book to.
Mike just sent me an 81-page script. So,
did he really?
And he wants me to read it. So
Absolutely.
Well, time, obviously.
That is actually a high compliment.
Yeah.
It's a high compliment. So I would,
Nice.
once you learn to read, I would get right on that. That would be the first thing. We'll work them out later on.
Work them out later.
We tried so hard growing up. It was such a chore.
So what's your favorite part of Wico Man? I know you created him in a stand-up, but like what's something that when you were thinking about it made you laugh or made you smile?
The whole thing that it actually what made me laugh about him and why I created him. And by the way, it was like a 30-second throwaway skit when I was doing stand-up. It was just like.
Did you ever perform this skit then?
Oh, I did. Oh, I did it.
On stage,
but I didn't have any outfits on. I just said. I said, oh yeah.
I'm sorry, but did you? I'm trying to say it the right
I performed
way.
it.
You
yeah.
Performed it.
Yeah,
then.
I would go up to.
How did it go?
It went over pretty well because I would go, I'm Wico Man,
Yeah.
and I would put on like a silly voice and all that, and then I would go into. The only problem is that when he comes across the crime scene, they crack up laughing, and he has to ask old people or passersby to help him handcuff the people and pick them up, because he's just too weak to do that.
So is that your favorite part of the character then?
My favorite part of the character is when I picture him. I picture him very skinny with a loose-fitting mask and loose-fitting clothes. Because if you look at a Batman, it's form-fitted. When you look at Superman, it's form-fitted. When you look at the Flash, it's all form-fitted. And you look at Wico Man and it's baggy. It's falling off of him because they don't make extra small.
Yeah.
And again, that's when I think of him, that I find very funny.
If you want to answer
Okay.
as a writer and then as a father, you can. But,
Okay.
Where would you like to see Healing Heroes go?
Let me ask you as a father first of all. That's going to be easier. I wish it to be so successful. I wish it to be going, and not successful for me, although I do expect a trailer. We've gone through this.
You've been saying this for months now.
Let's closer to a year, but let's not dwell on that. Nothing wrong with the trailer,
Okay, you're right.
but success for you.
Thank you.
So that because I know this is one of your dreams is to be 6'5" and be able to dunk a basketball. The other dream is
I
that.
must have been reading my diary lately.
Well, the fact that you have a diary is.
Journal.
Scaring me.
Journal.
Anything you want. A rose by any other name. But also, you love this industry, and the proof of it is you're doing it a lot of times for free.
Yes.
And they say
And that's a lot of independent
if you do it exactly, so I give you all credit. Professionally or film-wise, yeah, I like to see all the characters go as far as they can go. I watch a lot of stuff on either Hulu Plus or Netflix or whatever the hell else is out there, and they're all very good. But I think your concept is just as good, and maybe in some cases, maybe a little bit better.
Thank you.
Now, part of that is the father coming out, but also part of that is
the right person seeing it eventually. You know,
yeah, exactly. But another
being put in the right hands.
But another part of that, as one of the creators of, well, the creator of that character, I think it could be very funny.
Yeah.
Captain Cornelius, I think, is your casting of him. I think is great. Wakande for Ganja Girl, and some of the other characters that I haven't met yet.
Yeah.
You know, I'm sure one is as good as the other one, but that's kind of professionally. I think it could really make a mark, both on the comedic end of it, and that's kind of what it is.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that. Your Dr. Connors characters, all of them, the secretary, fine job. I can see this as a pretty good vehicle for all of you.
Yeah, I think it could be too. And I one thing I really do appreciate is that everyone is really, you know, put their all in it. Like it's tough, and I guess I'll admit something. It's tough for me to care about someone else's project as much as the person who created it.
Absolutely,
cares.
absolutely.
And I think that goes for most projects.
It does.
But for Healing Heroes, like, I want to say there's been a solid like 15 people who like are just always asking about it, just very invested into it, asking you about it, you know, asking you to ask me about it. And then, you know, I had two of my buddies from college, Jason Isaacs and Jeremy Perry. They drove up.
They came up from Florida.
From Florida on like a Friday. We filmed Saturday and Sunday, you know, then we went
They went back Monday or Tuesday?
Yeah, they went back Monday or Tuesday. So, and initially, you know, they were going to do it for free. I threw them not as much as I'd like to, but they're like, no, we're coming up here because we believe in you.
But they didn't do it. They didn't do it for the money. No. They did it because they were your friend and they liked the project.
Yeah. And that was really, really awesome.
And really, you know, I mean, the prostitutes I supplied, you know, that night. You weren't there that day, but
I wasn't there that day.
No.
I guess you and Jason set that up.
We didn't have any midgets, and we know because you're tall and you like midgets. But that's another story for another time.
Thank you. That's all on my bucket list.
There we
You're
go.
revealing stuff. But no, no, I'm really. At first, I thought it would be a little weird working with a family member. Emily and I are writing a
yeah, and you guys
script.
should keep that up. It's very good.
Yeah, so that's kind of been challenging because it always, you know, siblings butt heads.
Of course,
like,
that's what they're
it's
for.
her story, and then I just, you know, and then my ideas are kind of meshed together. So, but for Weeko Man, you and I haven't yet really kind of hit a fork in the road, or I guess like a way that like something where we're not in
agreement with.
Yeah.
Right.
So far, but you've also have been like, listen, like this is my idea. If it works out perfect, like I'll be able to work on the character. But like anything you want to add.
Absolutely.
And that's really helped me out, you know.
Because it's nothing in life is etched in stone
Yeah.
or in granite. And the concept of Weeko Man is mine, obviously, and some basic stuff. But that doesn't mean it's limited to just what I think is funny. It's what you think is funny. If I think it's funny too.
Julian thing, I really like the collaborative. I'm pretty open with actors being like, hey, what if they did this? Like, I don't ever want to be a director or a writer that's like, it's my way or no way. And
Well,
I'm always interested in when I'm watching a movie, like, how much was that like Steve Carell's
But
doing?
I think at times as a director you have to say, you know what, that's a good idea, but let's try it this way. And I've seen you do that when you directed something.
I'm always open to being like,
and there's nothing wrong with that.
Let's try your way, the third take.
No problem, and that's
always
fine.
Want to do 3 takes or 4 takes.
And if it works, great. There's nothing. That's how I feel about the character. Yeah, I have certain ideas and certain scenarios actually that if we really got into it, that I think it would work well.
Exactly.
But that doesn't mean that's the only scenarios or the only ideas. I'm like, nope, it's either that way or done. It's my man. I'm taking them home.
Good or bad? How do you see Weeko Man's ending?
You mean death-wise?
Not death-wise. No. But how do you see his character? Because Ryan, when I was interviewing Ryan kind of went in depth on like what he thought about Captain Cornelius.
Okay.
Like, you know, character or like.
You created Captain Cornelius, if I'm not mistaken.
I did, but like
yeah. Okay.
Ryan and I
That's okay.
I'm very like collaborative with that because Ryan.
No problem.
The first day I met Ryan's like, I have all these ideas, but like, and Ryan was joking. He's like, I'm not trying to persuade you either way, but like, you have to kind of like, what do you see as Weeko Man's end goal? Because in the script he's doing it for like
women.
He's
doing it.
But
to
in the TV pilot episode, I didn't want to tell you this yet, but I had him like kind of be in a relationship already.
Okay, now you.
But I could always just switch that.
No. Actually, that was in my mind. His end result. I see him again. He's pathetically weak and all that nonsense. I actually, part of me sees him hooking up with Wakande's character,
Okay.
Ganja Girl,
Ganja Girl,
because
yeah.
she's kind of a strong person and she's very attractive.
Yeah.
I'm not saying he's not a good-looking man,
Yeah.
but his character is not.
Yeah.
You know, you look at the nerds on Big Bang Theory, and when you take them out of their environment, they're not bad-looking guys.
No.
And I'm all man, damn it. I like me my women. You know what I'm saying? But you know, so the same
But you
thing.
can admit that Tom Hardy's hot, right?
Oh, come on. Who wouldn't admit that, for God's sakes? I'm quivering now, even though I'm sitting down. My knees are a little weak. That could be arthritis, though. Could be arthritis, though. We're not sure. But that's kind of where I see him going.
Okay.
That's where, or if not her,
Or
then
doing it for other reasons than himself.
Oh, absolutely.
Because in the script he wrote, you know, Dr. Connors, no one's read it or seen it yet. Maybe some people have read it, but Dr. Connors is like, you know, you kind of have the most arrests this month. He's like, I don't give a shit about that.
Yeah.
And then he was like, you know, are you doing it for the fame and women? He's like, both. You know, like
right.
So
And that's
like,
what we wrote.
So
but
he's doing it for the
accolades that are
the
coming.
Accolades, exactly.
But in my mind, deep down, you can't do all that and not care about the victims and not care about one dude. On a serious
bit,
note,
yeah.
you got to do it a little bit. You may say, no. It's like the Rhett Butler character in Gone with the Wind, where he's for himself, he's a mercenary, but he really isn't. He's really more of an honorable man than he's not.
It's good, I guess, you know, to hear that you have more ideas.
Not if, when this gets wings and starts flying around,
Exactly.
I can definitely come up with them, and you know, again, for a fee.
Yeah.
Or trailer, or
hey, you've requested a trailer. That's all you're getting right now.
all right. Well, you know, like you can't cash a trailer, you know, and we will have to negotiate that, unless you make a lot of money, you can move out of the garage, because right now you're going to be in my garage.
I'd just like to hear your process of like writing comedy or writing stand-up, and I'd like to see if it's similar.
Okay, when and even in the very beginning when I was doing it, I was in my 20s. I'll give you a good example.
Okay.
I'm sitting at Starbucks, and I'm reading the Sunday paper. It was the Sunday Times. It was a kind of a crappy Sunday.
Is this recently?
This was about 5, 6, 7 years ago.
Okay, all right.
And I'm sitting there, and I'm reading an article about women who are having cosmetic surgery on their vaginas because they thought that their vaginas were ugly. And my theory has always been, unless there's a foot coming out of it, and if I'm seeing it, it's a beautiful thing.
It is, yeah.
Why would you need that? And as I'm reading the article, those thoughts are coming into my mind. So a lot of what I do is very observational. Like I see something and I write it down.
I think I've gotten that from you a lot.
Yeah,
to be honest with you.
I think you have. Another theory that I've been kicking around as a routine is, how does a priest moonlight? You know, the Catholic priest, what do they moonlight as a Baptist? Do they moonlight as a Muslim? How do they get an extra job? They need a couple extra bucks.
Yeah.
Another idea I was just kicking around, and it just came into my head about, Jesus is looking to take over his father's business of being God. God never dies, so
Yeah.
Jesus is stuck.
What's he got to do now?
He's stuck in a dead end job.
Yeah, I like
when you
that.
really think about that.
I like that.
But those are things that I something.
That's very observational. I'm not that observational with stand-up, I guess, but with scripts or even like, I know you and we love people watching.
I do all the
think
time.
A lot of people do. But
that's one of my favorite
when
things.
People watch, you're able to observe things.
You pick up things.
And what I find funny, you don't find funny, and what you find funny, I don't find funny. But
That's
the great thing about comedy, though, is that that's what it allows you to do.
A lot of it is an age thing too.
That is too, but like the thing, I never heard the Jesus joke you said right
I
there,
just-
and I think that's funny.
I only made that maybe about 2 or 3 months ago. I was thinking
But that's funny. Like I don't know anyone. I guess I don't want to say my age, but I don't know anyone really kind of coming up with that kind of stuff. I feel like
maybe you don't know people that are sick out of their minds.
that too. Yeah, that too.
Always consider the mental illness.
But even I remember you and I watching the movie Funny People, and Seth Rogen at the end of the movie. Spoilers if you haven't seen it, but it's been a few years. He takes a pen and a notepad or a napkin out, and he has all his jokes.
Yeah,
there reading it.
I've done that
You
many.
said that you've done that, or you tell me all the time, like, man, like if you have something funny, write it down. You're a big supporter of like, if you have something funny, write it down.
You have to. I have a book in my office / dining room
Yeah.
where I have a bunch of napkins in there. It's a spiral book where I have napkins when I was sitting at a Starbucks and put down, do something about ugly vaginas, or do something about this, or write a story about how some squirrels and some birds have a suicide wish because they dash in front of your car, and they're like, "What do you?
Move,
I mean, what are you stupid? Move! You're gonna get run over. I'm a car."
Exactly.
And I just write that down.
Nice.
That's kind of my process. I kind of see what's going on. I probably cannot tell a joke like, "Oh, a man walked into a bar." And
I can't either.
it will not be funny. If I think it's funny, I'll start laughing halfway through it.
And you know, I know I bust your balls about this, but a lot of my friends really find you hilarious. Like,
You have very smart friends.
They do, yeah, they're very smart, but they just find you funny, and even like my buddy Jerron's like, man, like I could see you, like you and your dad, like you guys just have the same humor, and it's funny, and
So you're sick too.
yeah, I guess.
All right.
Am. But no, but I'm wondering, do you ever look at something, whether it's on the news? I don't really watch the news. But
Okay.
Like if you see something on the news, or you hear something that could be quote unquote fucked up, do you personally find the humor in it, or do you try and find
Unfortunately, yeah, I do. And I say unfortunately because a lot
I'm
of
not
times.
talking about like any shootings or anything like
No,
that.
no,
Like,
but
if you see something like a mother like lost her baby for a few hours, like my instinct action is like the parent's fucking stupid. Or like,
Yeah, you know what? I think that, and sometimes it's like, oh my God. But honestly, and I'm not going to make fun of him now.
Yeah.
It's, believe it or not, it's still too soon. But after 9/11, there was a couple of things that came into my mind that were just kind of like, what are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Because one was like, oh, well, they were kind of blotted the landscape.
Last week, did you see online that someone wrote a spec script for a Seinfeld episode for a few days after 9/11?
I didn't read it, but I did hear about that. I did hear about that.
It was like Elaine was dating a guy, and she wished that he was in one of the
Oh,
towers.
Jesus, yeah.
Kramer was like was friends with one of the buddies who were on the plane. Like,
Yeah, one of the hijackers
dark.
and all that.
Yeah,
that's a little
very
bit.
dark.
That's
That
a little
was
bit too
much, but
dark.
it still is too much for certain things, I think.
Yeah, you got to.
I don't think that people should make jokes. I'm really weird, I guess, with humor or comedy. Like, I don't have a problem making fun of certain things, but then when I see it online, like if I see something like just beaten down on Facebook, like, then I'm like, Jesus Christ, it's not funny anymore. Like,
my problem is I don't think anything is off limits, or many things are. A lot of things are not off limits. What I will never joke about, and it's a personal reason, if like somebody is like mentally handicapped or physically handicapped, to make fun of them and they're retards. I don't find that funny.
no,
I don't find ethnic humor funny. I don't like black jokes. I don't like Italian jokes. I don't like Polish jokes.
It's funny. I think a lot. When I moved to Florida, it's like people have never seen an Italian person before from Jersey.
I wouldn't be surprised
like
about that.
Rarity, like, oh my God, but you're not in the mob.
But you said how you doing, you shouldn't have said that.
But a lot of people like once I said, hey, I'm from Jersey, I'm Italian. Oh, are you from is your father a mobster? And I'd be like, yeah.
Well, well, and I am.
Well, you are.
Right?
But no,
I got a couple hits under my belt.
Yeah, but like when Emily and I ever tell like stories about just like we thought were normal things. It's just like having like big Italian families. You know what I'm saying?
Well, you know what,
so,
that
like people are not used to that, but like then when some of my friends like will tell me like, nah, man, like and some of my friends, most of my friends down there are like of different races.
Okay.
And they'll be like, yeah, like my parents beat the shit out of me, or like my parents did this.
I probably should have beat the shit out of both of you.
Grandma always said that.
Well, we're not hit enough growing up.
No.
Never
hit
enough.
It's very interesting how like.
Well, that's stereotype. That's their stereotyping.
They're stereotyping, but like I feel like they like what I'm trying to get at is like. For comedy, I feel like you can make fun of yourself. Like Jerry Seinfeld is one of my favorite comedians.
He's very funny. Oh yeah.
But like his show was just like making fun of Jewish people. Same with like Larry David. And for me, I am not as offended because I'm not Jewish, but it's a Jewish person saying that. I don't think like a white person can like make fun of black people or make fun of anything else because it is not right.
Well,
but when people get angry, like Dave Chappelle makes fun of black people, I'm like, no, he kind of makes fun of everyone.
Right.
But he gets away with it because he primarily does make fun of the black community.
And he's also making fun of the stereotypical racist who would say something
exactly.
that about
His first
black
episode
people.
Was the black white supremacist.
Exactly.
You know, so.
And that's kind of what like the Larry Davids and the Seinfelds would do too.
Do you think it's an age thing too? I'm sorry.
Absolutely, it could be an age.
Because like you and you know Larry David and Jerry Seinfeld, you guys kind of probably grew up in the same era where like Jerry Seinfeld hates politically correctness.
I do too.
You do too.
I can't stand it.
He says he doesn't perform at colleges because of that.
And I agree with that. I think that's a smart.
Do,
yeah, absolutely.
But
because
a lot of people my age and younger are like, "That's rude. That's rude." It's like, I don't think you know what rude is.
Yeah, grow the fuck up. Okay,
exactly.
It's funny. It's comedy.
But you notice, like I'm noticing that more because I feel like I'm at a weird age where like, yes, I am a grown up. But I'm still kind of like around a lot of like my cousins are kind of young or like
they're all in their earlier 20s.
Youngerish people where they get offended at everything and like I was never really offended. I don't say certain things because Emily and my mom have been like, you know, you shouldn't make jokes about rape or about
I can understand that too.
I don't, you know, and I completely agree. But like, it's very now like when a comedian like Louis C.K. is opening for SNL, I want to say last year. He talked about how there was a molester in his neighborhood.
Well, no,
like that was like everyone freaked out.
Yeah, his actual routine was closer to the fact that you know when you're faced with prison, how good must pedophilia be if you know they're gonna hurt you and you still do it?
Yeah.
You know that when I first heard it, when I first heard that, I'm like, holy shit. And then I listened to it again. I'm like, that is really funny.
Yeah.
Think about.
You probably haven't heard something like that. What since George Carlin or since like a Richard Pryor or.
Richard Pryor would be a little bit irreverent like that, and definitely George. I don't remember him at all, but no, Bill Cosby was always very safe. I don't know him really, but Lenny Bruce back in the early days, late 50s, early 60s, he was very much an innovator of that type of humor. Not as dirty as today because the times didn't call for it to be that dirty.
Yeah.
But that's a very interesting concept when Louis C.K. said that. He said, you know, how great must it be? Yeah. He wasn't advocating diddling little boys and girls, but he was just saying, Jesus, what's in these people that even though they could be the least ostracized and the most thrown in jail and beaten every day, but they still got to do it. How good must it be? A little weird, but I can see the humor in that.
Him and maybe because I don't really dive into the internet that like I don't really dive into the YouTube comments or whatever, but like people seem to not give like Louis C.K. and Jerry Seinfeld shit because they're so like for their honesty.
Well, let me tell you something. They're not going to touch Seinfeld because he's a king. He's the king of comedy. Yeah. Period. Bottom line. A lot of people, believe it or not, still don't know Louis C.K.
Really?
And I can't understand how they can, because I would say to somebody, oh, and Louis C.K. when he says, I don't really know him. Like, well, he's got a show, he's been on Saturday Night Live. No, I don't really know him very well.
He wrote Pootie Tang and directed.
They don't. Well, they're not gonna. No, you know, but things like
that's interesting because
not a lot of people.
You never hear people like I'm going to a Louis C.K. show. Like you'll hear people say that, but they're like diehard fans of Louis C.K.
Right, and
they've been following him for a good 5-8 years.
And you just said it. A lot of the diehard fans know about him.
Yeah, a lot of people know that he wrote for the Chris Rock show.
I didn't know that until a couple months ago.
Yeah.
And I believe you might have told me.
Yeah, so it's very interesting when you start finding out more. But I love the whole attitude that Seinfeld has now more than ever. He's like more like a get off my lawn type of age now. Like like in Seinfeld, the shows had to be more like. More like G-rated or like
it was
family friendly.
Well, okay. Keep in mind, it was in the late '80s, early '90s. Yeah. It was on a major network, NBC, Channel 4. It wasn't on cable.
Yeah.
It wasn't where if you watch stuff on FX now.
That too.
Oh my God! I mean, some of this. I mean,
but even like his web series,
Comedians in Cars. Yeah, I love that. I love that show.
He one of my favorite episodes is with him and Barack Obama.
You're the president. Just tell him you want to leave.
Yeah, but like even like. He was like just straight up with him. He's like, I'm a lot. You're the president of the United States, and I'm a lot more richer than you are. Like he has the balls to say that.
Yeah,
so
he's a billionaire. Really what does he care? He's a billionaire. He can say whatever the hell he wants to say now.
It's funny. So all right, well, thank you for taking the time.
Thank you for asking me. Number one.
No problem. It was fun. This has been fun to do our little banter that we do a lot of the time.
Yeah, this
now
is
it's
the
recorded.
this goes on all the time,
Yeah.
guys. This is not just for the
entertainment
for the
purposes.
entertainment purposes. So this
Well,
is
thank you very much. I appreciate it.
thank you, and I'd like to say best of luck and hope to see you around. But I'm sure I'll see you in a few minutes.
Yes, you will. So,
Okay.
take it easy.
Thank you very much.
Well, hearing that in its entirety, kind of weird, but also, like I said, kind of cool. I learned a lot of little things about my father that I really never knew. You know, how he does his process in writing comedy and his outlooks on comedy and who, you know, he kind of admires. And it's also really nice to have a family member or anyone just really be behind you in your work. Once again, I'm Christopher Orangeo. Until next time, this is Hero Talk.